Greetings, Spooky fans! Michael here. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee have been officially confirmed to be coming to the Nintendo Switch this November, allowing us to journey through Kanto for the first time since 2010 in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and the first time we can journey through Kanto starting in Kanto since 2004 with Fire Red and Leaf Green. The games are going to be a pretty big shakeup of the traditional Pokemon formula, allowing us to capture Pokemon with the Go capture mechanics. The leveling up is going to have to change since there's no wild battles. We can transfer Pokemon in from Go. It's going to be a lot of big changes, but regardless, I'm still really excited because it looks like they're gonna be a lot of fun. Now, one of my favorite parts of Pokemon is determining what my squad is gonna be as I play through a Pokemon game. And since I'm so excited for Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, and we already know what Pokemon are gonna be available, I thought it would be fun to make a video telling you guys my planned team for Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Now keep in mind, I'm going off what I know from prior Kanto games, since this is supposedly a remake slash reboot of Yellow, so we won't know exactly what specifically has changed, like encounter tables, how the story progression goes, at what point in the game you can transfer Pokemon from Go, what the version exclusives are going to be, and so on. So a couple of these might be inaccurate and will have to change later, but for the most part, I think we'll be fine. So be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe if you are new. And without further ado, here is my Pokemon team for Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. The first Pokemon on my team is going to be Pikachu. Yes, while I will likely get both versions, Let's Go Pikachu is probably going to be my primary game. And the reason for that is that while I like Eevee more than Pikachu, Pikachu is stronger than Eevee, and that's important because I'm pretty sure that the mascot Pokemon aren't gonna be able to evolve. The Pokemon Company has officially confirmed that these games are inspired by Yellow version, and if you never played Yellow, the Pikachu that you get in that game can't evolve. It will reject any Thunderstones you try to give it, so the only way to evolve it is to trade it over to a red or blue version, evolve it there, and trade it back, which, side note, is super frickin' annoying. Pikachu gets extremely weak later in the story, and when I played through Yellow a couple years ago for the first time, I ditched it for Zapdos reasonably early. And since these new games will be inspired by Yellow, I predict, / it might already be confirmed and I missed it, that Pikachu and Eevee won't be able to evolve. And, fam, I hate to admit it, Pikachu may suck, but Eevee is definitely worse. Pikachu's electric typing is going to be pretty helpful early in the story against various birds, and Misty especially, but Eevee's just a normal type. And normal types, most of the time, kinda suck unless they're incredibly powerful, such as Gen 1 Tauros. So while I do love Eevee, I will be using something that is mildly more competent. At least until later in the story. The next member of my team is going to be Venusaur. It is currently unclear whether we will get to choose one of the 3 Kanto starters at the beginning of the story, or if we'll be gifted all 3 of them as we progress, like in Yellow version. This screenshot here of the player running around Viridian City with Pikachu and Bulbasaur definitely points toward getting to make a choice early, but we're not completely sure yet. But either way, I'm definitely going to get and use Bulbasaur on my team. One of the big reasons I want to use Venusaur is that I haven't really used one before. In Yellow version, I kept Charizard and Blastoise, but ditched Venusaur after Surge's gym because he just started to get outclassed, and I don't recall ever choosing a Bulbasaur in any other Kanto playthrough. Maybe like a second playthrough of Fire Red and Leaf Green a long time ago, but I can barely remember. So because I've barely used it, I want to show it some love. I've always really liked Bulbasaur and Venusaur. I think they're well-designed, cool Pokemon, and plus, they're also supposedly, according to several PokeTubers, including myself, the best Kanto starter for a Kanto playthrough, especially in the early game against Brock and Misty. Plus, Now, it's even better than it was because it gets access to more good grass moves, and poison types are actually useful due to the presence of fairy types. I desperately hope we get to choose one of the three in the beginning, because if we get them later, I'm probably not gonna get to use one for Brock, which would be a sizable letdown, but maybe I could also transfer in my shiny one from Go. That would be pretty cool. Somehow, someway, I will find a way to make Bulbasaur work.
I think you're making the right call.
No, you're clearly making a horrible mistake by not choosing Squirtle.
What the? What are you two doing here? This is not a Pokemon Talk episode.
You bust into our show all the time. What's wrong with us busting into yours?
Next entry. The next Pokemon I want to use on my team is Clefable. Now, this might surprise some of you since I'm not the biggest fan of Clefable. It's really frustrating to battle against, plus, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you've probably figured out my style of Pokemon are the ferocious, intimidating, powerful Pokemon, as opposed to the pink, plump, peculiarly powerful Pokemon. But what's intrigued me about Clefable is its fairy typing, a typing that it has never had in Kanto before. The only regions we've been able to play through since the fairy type was introduced was Kalos, Hoenn, and Alola. And so I really want to try using a fairy type Pokemon in Kanto because we've never been able to do that before. And of the 3 fully evolved fairy type Pokemon available in Kanto, Clefable is easily the best. Wigglytuff has worse typing, worse stats, and worse abilities, and Mr. Mime... I will never use a Mr. Mime unless I have no better options, and Clefable is definitely a better option. Plus, Magic Guard is a fantastic ability that will be awesome to have, and it's got a super wide move pool that'll be helpful with lots of extra coverage. Plus, it'll give me an incredible counter to Lance's team, assuming that Lance is still around. I'm not currently a huge fan of Clefable, but I have a feeling that kicking a lot of butt with it will make it grow on me. The next member of my squad is going to be Golem. The only time I've ever used a Golem on a playthrough team was in my very first playthrough of Soul Silver back when it first came out. Side note, that's the only time I've ever played through Soul Silver. I really enjoyed using him on my team in that game, and I definitely want to bring him back for another go. Geodude will be super helpful since I can get him immediately after Brock's gym, giving me plenty of time to level him up before Surge's gym. And then he's gonna be a ground type attacker for the rest of the game, which is gonna be super helpful against the abundance of poison types all throughout the playthrough. Yes, Golem is slow as balls and has a lot of weaknesses, but I'd like to try and see you, Oko1, with Sturdy. You can't, unless you have a double hit move, which... please don't, that'd be super rude. The next member will be Slowbro. It's important to have a water type Pokemon on your team, especially later game due to Blaine and Giovanni. Wait a second. Wait, is Giovanni still gonna be the gym leader? What if it's changed? Well, we did see Team Rocket in the trailer, so... yeah, we're probably fine. It's also important to have a Psychic type on your team due to the abundance of Poison type Pokemon, so why not combine the Water Pokemon and the Psychic Pokemon together into one?
Because a Water Psychic type is going to be weak to all the Grass Poison types you're supposedly going to want to use your Psychic type against.
Dude, seriously?
Hey, I'm just informing you of the Grass Poison type benefits.
Yeah, honestly, it might just be best for you to go with a different water type. Like, I don't know. Like Blastoise.
Okay, let's not get crazy.
So help me, Arceus, I will cancel your show.
No, you won't.
Yeah, you're right. You guys are super popular. My only options for water psychic types are Slowbro and Starmie, and since I can get Slowpoke much earlier in the game than Staryu, decided to go with Slowpoke. Never used this derpy, slow Pokemon before, so should be pretty fun. Although, I must confess, both Slowbro and Starmie were exclusive to Leaf Green. But neither of them were version exclusives in the Gen 1 games, so kinda remains to be seen what's gonna go on with that, but I can always transfer one in from Go or have Jubilee trade me one if it's in her game. The next Pokemon on my team will be Scyther. Psychic type Pokemon have always been OP in Kanto playthroughs for 3 big reasons. The first is dark types aren't around, The second is that bug types are really weak. And the third is that the ghost types, the only ones available, are weak to psychic because they're also poison types. And it got even worse in Gen 1 because, due to a programming error, psychics were immune to ghost. It was ridiculous. But things are different now. Scyther, my second favorite bug type Pokemon behind only Vikavolt, is finally a viable playthrough Pokemon in the Kanto region, and there's several reasons why. First off, Scyther now has Technician, an ability it didn't have in Gen 3, which boosts the power of moves that are 60 base power or below. This is really helpful since it makes several of its weaker stab attacks like Aerial Ace, Wing Attack, and the first hit of Fury Cutter much stronger and much more viable. Speaking of Fury Cutter, it now starts at 40 base power instead of 20 or 10, and thanks to Technician, that means it actually starts at 60 for Scyther, which makes it a much more viable bug move. And speaking of viable bug moves, Scyther now has access to X-Scissor, U-Turn, and possibly Bug Bite if there's a move tutor in the game, which are several strong physical bug moves that he didn't have before. In addition to those things, it seems very likely that Ride Pokemon from Alola are going to make a return, meaning that the flying type Pokemon on your team doesn't have to be one that can learn Fly. Scyther was rarely used before because that's another flying type that can't learn Fly, which would be very cumbersome to travel around the region with, but now it doesn't have to know Fly. So, you can use a Scyther! I'll admit I'm slightly concerned about version exclusivity since Scyther was exclusive to Fire Red, but I'm also playing the first version, so if that version exclusivity is the same, there'll probably be Scyther in my game. Plus, like I mentioned before, Jubilee can always trade me one, or I can transfer one in from Go. I'll be fine. Of all the Pokemon I've mentioned, I think I'm most excited to use a Scyther, especially to wreck Sabrina, Bruno, and possibly Erica if I can get to the Safari Zone early enough. Wait, I just realized. If we don't battle wild Pokemon at any point in this game, that means the whole region is the Safari Zone. My God, what incredible businessmen those owners are. Now for the final member of my team I wanted to discuss, that being Magneton. You may have noticed that this is the 7th Pokemon I'm discussing, which is one too many Pokemon for a team unless I do rotation, which I definitely don't want to do. You also may notice that it's an overlap of an existing type, since Magneton is an electric type, just like Pikachu. You see where I'm going with this? There is a very solid chance that I will ditch my Pikachu at some point throughout the playthrough. While its stats and moves are acceptable early game, it pretty quickly becomes outclassed by the other evolved Pokemon in the game. Like I mentioned before, I ditched my yellow version Pikachu for Zapdos because the yellow Pikachu was just too freaking weak. If I get a light ball at some point throughout the playthrough, I might reconsider ditching Pikachu, but if I don't, I'm definitely getting Magneton. It's the only steel-type Pokemon in the entire region, besides Magnemite obviously, so that'll give me a lot of helpful resistances that no other Pokemon can offer. Plus, it single-handedly decimates Lorelei, assuming her team is the same. Thunderbolt KOs all 4 of her water types, and then Flash Cannon will take care of her Jinx. Plus, Koga's gonna have a very tough time beating a Pokemon that his poison type moves literally can't touch. Like I said, I might reconsider ditching Pikachu if I get a light ball, but otherwise, I'm definitely ditching it for an electric type that can actually evolve.
That is an excellent decision.
That evolutionary line is nothing but bad news.
You know, I do have to agree on that one, actually. So there we have it. That is my planned team for Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. As I said, that's the one I'm probably gonna make my main game. Also, as I mentioned, we don't have all the details about version exclusives or 100% confirmation if HMs are coming back, but if all goes well, I'm definitely excited to use this team. What did you think of this video? Do you think I'm making the right calls? What team are you going to use for Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee? Let me know down in the comments below! Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, it helps me out a lot. Also, if you're new here and enjoy Pokemon and are excited about these games, make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't forget to tap that bell to turn on notifications, so that way even if YouTube's being goofy, you don't miss anything I upload. Alright, that's all I have for now, so till next time, big fans. Gotta catch them all!